Hello guys, Sereniel here. If you hear some weird background noise, it's because today in the north of Taiwan we have some very heavy rain, so you may be hearing some raindrops, especially if my microphone decides that those sounds are extremely relevant to my stream. But if you have been here for a few years, there was a period during which every day while I was recording my game, there were birds furiously copulating outside of my window, so you should be used to that by now. What I want to talk about today are two things that are strongly related. One is going to be a general overview of my account, which characters I have, how I built them, and what I'm planning to do. And the other one is to talk about Sereniel, the character who is going to be fully revealed in a couple of days. I'm recording this on the 18th, and the live stream where we get the showcase of the new content and Sereniel is going to be on the 20th. And she's going to be released on the 24th, so next week. There are two problems with this. One is that we have no idea, officially, about what kind of combatant she is. Is she a support, a damage dealer, what element? We do not have any official clue. And the second problem is that she's revealed on the 20th, she releases on the 24th, 4 days are nowhere near close enough to farm any of the materials that you may need for her. We are going to need a ton of combatant materials, you're going to need partner materials if you get her partner or if you need to build a new one for her. You're going to need memory fragments for her. We don't know what she does, what you're going to build. Random ones, I don't think so. So, again, there is a lot of guesswork into what she's going to do. And that's a little bit problematic, because I really wish that we heard something, at least an image that tells us the element, the kind of combatant, so we know what we prefer, so that on day one, at least we have it ready. But no, we don't get it. We cannot have nice things. With that said, although I'm a content creator, I'm part of a content creator program for, Chaos Zero Nightmare. So, in theory, you would expect me to know something. No, I absolutely have no idea. They are not sharing anything with us on the official Discord. And I think that this is one of the issues that was also shown when, during the previous livestream, we were revealed Kizuru, because I watched the... Why did I go here? I wanted to go to the combatants. Because I watched a few of the live streams, and to me it felt like most of the content creators that were covering the game for Smilegate had no idea what they were talking about until the moment that it was released on the live stream. Because you can tell that, in addition to reacting to the live stream, they had to deliver information that, for me, the feeling was that they were just learning at the moment and they were making guesswork on it. And so, at least English and Chinese live streams, they had this issue. Like, they clearly had no idea what Kizuru was doing in advance, or they have not prepared it. I cannot vouch for that, it's just my opinion. And so they had to go with, oh, this one does this, this and that. Wait, what is that ability? Oh, what does this card do? Wait, what are the epiphanies? All that sort of stuff. Maybe that they didn't have much time to prepare it, or they didn't coordinate well, I don't know. But what has been happening recently is we got some leaks that kinda hint us in the direction of what Sereniel is going to be. And I'm not going to share them on screen, because I don't know if Smilegate is okay with that. I will mention it, though, very vaguely. Let's say that it's a LARP. I'm making it up. Wink, wink. She should be either a controller or a vanguard. Should be. No idea about the element. Absolutely no idea, which is a big problem, because the biggest sink in the game are the potential materials. Like, it takes forever to max out a character, and usually you want to find out, which potential nodes you can skip, which are not very relevant, and all that sort of stuff. So, what I've been doing is, I am assuming she's either going to be a vanguard or a controller, and those promotion materials, I'm going to wait until she is officially revealed to farm whatever I'm doing, to farm whatever I will need on day one. Then I had a look at the characters that I currently have and that I'm planning to build in the future, at least build a little bit better. For me, those two, the main ones are Meilin and Haru. Haru, I have basically not played her at all since Yuki was released, because Haru for me feels a little bit like a tutorial character. Like, the gameplay is fine in terms of performance, but you know, get anchor shot, play anchor shot, get anchor shot, play anchor shot. It's so basic, it doesn't give me much joy in terms of playing, and because of that, she's really lagging behind in terms of build. And Meilin is a character that I got relatively recently. I want to build her because she's a very strong character. I leveled her up a bit. Since these two are the characters that I'm planning to build, what I did is I pre-farmed, and I'm still pre-farming quite a bit of the Passion materials, and also quite a bit of the Justice materials. This means that if Sereniel is revealed and it's one of his two elements, I can postpone building Meilin and Haru, and I can use, you know, a nice chunk of meth that I've already farmed on day one for Sereniel. If that's not the case, it's not a big deal, because at least I pre-farmed for a couple of characters that I want to build a bit more in the coming weeks. And the next one will probably be Hugo. Where is Hugo? Where is Hugo? Here he is. And he's not built particularly well, but the RNG gods, for some reason, decided to gift me with a Manifestigo free Hugo. And he's very strong. And there are times where I need Cassius in multiple teams, so I would rather stick him with the Tressa, so eventually he's going to be a character that I want to build a bit better. So, going back to the Sereniel strat, although we don't know much about it, at least there is some kinda sort of potential performing that we can do a little bit in advance, based also on your account. I will not be using the materials until essentially the weekend, and then after we get revealed what Sereniel is going to be, if it turns out that she's I don't know, an instinct character, we will be pre-farming a few days of instinct materials, we'll feel bad about it, and there is no way she will be ready on day one, but at least she will be playable. Now, and everything is subject to change, by the way. The leaks that I saw allegedly, apparently, show at least a hint that she's going to be a controller or a vanguard. And we're due for a character that is not a damage dealer, because we got Haru, Yuki, and Kizuru. But things could change. So don't take this as a gospel, but it's what is likely going to happen, and I'm expecting it to happen. Now, moving on to my account, I would say that my sort of build character end at Mika, who is level 40. The reason why my Mika is only level 40 is that, for me, Mika's kit is absolute abysmal dog shit. What I mean by that is she's a very strong character because of Source of Water. Everything else you want to remove it from the deck as soon as you can. Apart from maybe Deluge, if you know, you're following the strategy that you only keep the unique cards so they don't get copied, so the cards that you want to copy get copied, and all this sort of stuff. Apart from Source of Water, it's trash. It's absolute garbage. So, I'm certain that the moment we get some new 4 or 5 star limited controller, she's going to be one of the first characters to get the boot. And because of that, I didn't want to invest much into her. Like, potentials, whatever, she's level 40. I got a decent save file, because in the current state of the game, she's very useful, especially in things with Tressa and all the sort of good stuff. But I see absolutely no point for me to invest resources in Mika, who is a character that I play for one card. Like, I'm not going to do it. It feels like a waste. Maybe she will be meta for 7 years, and people will be like, Sir Grindelot, in 2025 you said, I said something wrong. My expectation is that we will be forgetting about Mika very, very soon. At least I will. I'm already playing her very little compared to the first few days, because I find Nia to be better, but she still has a role, but I will not be investing much into her. I'm starting to slightly build Beryl, slightly. The problem is, after getting Beryl, I got Veronica, and they feel a kinda similar role, and I don't plan to play them together. They can fit together, but it's not something that I plan to do anytime soon, so it is what it is for Belly. She's usable, just not properly built. We then go to Cassius. Cassius is actually a character on which I invested a bit because ever since the limited playtest, it was clear that he was a very strong character, and it was just a matter of finding out how strong he would be at release, and he's still very strong. And I have a couple of save files that I use all the time for Cassius. One is this one with the Wanderer of the Void card, because it makes certain fights and encounters much easier. If you ever struggled taking down Judas, the weekly boss, getting a save file on anyone with one or two Wanderer of the Void cards is going to be a game changer for you. And it's ideal for me to have it on Cassius because Cassius also has access to the Joker. So if your other two characters can deal damage and take care of of Judas, you just need to make sure and plan your turns in a way that each turn you are able to spam at least one Wanderer of the Void. I mean, one is enough. If you have buffs attached to it, it's even better to play more than one, but at least being able to access one is going to be more than enough. I have a few other save files, for the most part small decks that I don't use them very often, mainly because when I go to play the degenerate teams with the Tressa, my Cassius is not particularly well built. I don't look for what are they called, leaderboards in a gacha game. I have no interest in fighting for leaderboards. I just got the max rewards and I was done. And Cassius is not a particularly important part of getting max rewards. I then built Rei quite a bit recently, because in the beginning she was mostly good with Renoa and a couple of other characters, but out of those other characters I basically only had Renoa. So for me she was a little bit in the back seat of the characters that I wanted to build. Then I got Yuki, and Rei is pretty decent with Yuki because she has Dark Condensation, which buffs by 100% the damage of an attack, and Yuki's multipliers are pretty low, so if you had 100% multiplier, that's pretty solid. And this card can essentially buff all of Yuki's cards. You need to, pick the right one, depending on the build that you're going for Yuki. But at the end of the day, she grants a lot of damage to Yuki, morale stacks, which are extremely good for Yuki. All in all, her kit is very, very good as a support fake sustain for Yuki. So I spent a bit of time building her. Her potential is still very low because I've never had the feeling that it was really needed even to clear the Chaos runs, the Laboratory Zero runs. And this is the save file that I use most of the time for her. It's a save file that fits with Yuki, fits with Kizuru, fits with a multitude of characters, and she has the Eternal Hunger because it's my favorite forbidden card. And since my favorite support, actual support, is Nia, the more Eternal Hungers you have in the 3 decks you're using, the better it is. So this is the save file that I'm using 99% of the time on Rei. And then we move to Nia, my beloved support, who does everything. I should build her a little bit better in terms of level, potential and everything, but it doesn't feel that necessary. I'm using semi-random memory fragments on her because her damage output is irrelevant. So ideally, as the other two set, I would like to have a memory fragment. This one is not level. I would like the memory fragments that increase the shield and healing of the basic cards, but it's not that important. What is important for her is a save file. This one is absolutely disgusting. It looks like a very chunky file. 11 cards, it feels like a lot. But Adagio having draw 2, discard 2. Confiscation cycling itself, allowing access to Eternal Hunger / Eternal Hungers if you have it on other characters as well, plus morale stacks. Essentially, in this save file, the only dead card is Mute Accent. I wish I could have removed it, but it would have gone above the point limit. And having one dead card for a character who is so good at discarding stuff is pretty much irrelevant. One could argue even the basic cards are slightly wasted, but whatever. A little bit of healing in some game modes can help. Fantastic save file. It has served me well in any game mode where I use Nia, especially with Yuki or with Kizuru, if Kizuru does not have the card that prevents you from gaining action points. And I will talk about that a little bit later. And partner, here you see Arwen, but usually my controllers, they cycle partners. The one that I'm using tends to have, not even, Nyx. And if I'm doing a game mode that requires more than one team, the second partner tends to have Alyssa. Because I really like the ability of having a morale stack when I need it, rather than damage reduction, which for some endgame mode is not particularly relevant. I had built Kairon at the beginning of the game because he was one of the first 5 stars that I got, but I have not used it ever since, so let's not talk about him. Haru, I talk about her later, and earlier. The save file that I got for her before the Laboratory Zero is very good, very, very good. She gets the 25% critical chance, she gets a solid anchor shot, relevant cards are all there, good gear, it's all good. It's just a matter of the playstyle that it does not activate my neurons. Because, for example, someone like Yuki, there is a lot of thought into each turn. You don't just blindly draw into your cards. You have to think how many cards of Yuki I have in the deck, how many I have in the discard pile, how can I trigger a reshuffle of the cards in the discard pile back in the deck so that my other characters can also help to draw Yuki's cards instead of just Yuki being able to draw her own card. And there is a lot of thought when playing Yuki. With Haru is draw anchor shot, play anchor shot, draw anchor shot, play anchor shot. It feels very dull and repetitive. I like Haru and I love her voice actress, which is the reason why I instantly got her. If it was not for her voice actress, would have I pulled for Haru? Probably not. Probably not. Not a particularly fun playstyle for me. Maybe over the course of time I will get multiple copies of Haru, she will be dealing more damage, do more stuff, and I will feel more inclined into playing her, but for the time being she's having a little bit of rest, which is fine considering how hard she carried me in the beginning of the game. Meilin, as I mentioned earlier, a character that I got very, very, very recently, so she's a work in progress. We will see if after Sereniel is released, if she's not passion, then I will use my passion materials on Meilin and I will be building her. Oh, I didn't show the memory fragments for Haru. She borrowed some of them to other characters because I've not used them in a long time. But yeah, it's 4 pieces of this set plus 2 of a 12% attack. Rin, similar issue as Kairon. I got her fairly early. I built her a little bit, like really just a little bit, but then the RNG gods gifted me with other better options. So she's currently a little bit on a back burner, and between Tressa, Renoa, and Kizuru, I don't need another void damage dealer. Calliope, very, very solid character. I've not really played her since the patch that Yuki dropped. Yeah, Yuki basically prevented me from playing other characters that I found a little bit dull. Calliope is great, I love her design and she's a very strong character, but she's again a character with a fairly dull gameplay to me. So the way she built is far from being finished. I got one Manifestigo recently, which is actually a fairly decent one, because it gives retain to her card with Finale, which is nice. It's always nice when that card gets it. Maybe I will be playing it later on if we get someone that synergizes well with her or that really benefits from having her in the team. Tressa is decently built, mainly because she's not a balanced character. She was absurd in the limited playtest, and she's still absurd at released, and the save files with multiple shadow reloads, with the proper upgrade, and the rest of the team designed to abuse that make absolutely no sense, and in my opinion should not be part of the game. It's okay to have something that is more powerful than other things, but we have a 4-star character with other 4-star combatants that pre-power creep all the limited 5 stars that were released after the game launched, and it's a little bit silly. Like, I can understand a Manifestigo 6 4-star character being comparable to a limited 5-star at Manifestigo 0. That's usually a pretty solid thing. But Tress and Friends, it's not balanced at all. They need to work about it a little bit. Because she's so unbalanced, I also built her a little bit, because every now and then there is some combat with some annoying game mechanics that you don't want to deal with, you don't want to get involved with those game mechanics. You just throw Tress and Friends at it, and the fight is over in no time. A fun character to play because of the planning that it goes into the deck building, and even if you don't care about the leaderboard like me, getting a good save file for her takes a bit of planning, and also in how you play it. It's a fun character. I like my little Tress. Then we go to Veronica, who is a character that I got very, very recently. And she's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And both her performance in terms of how much damage she does, which is why I mostly maxed her, and also the fact that she helps a lot in building save files for the other characters in your account. I mentioned it a few times, but since it is a character showcase, account showcase, it's worth mention it again. Unique cards cannot be copied, that's why they have a unique tag. So if your characters, your combatants have multiple unique cards that they cannot be copied, it becomes easier to target other specific cards when you get to events or boss fights that give you the copy card as a reward. But she also has Pendant of Resolution, having an Epiphany with the unique tag. So, out of her 5 cards that could potentially be copied, there are 2 with the unique tag, there are 3 left. There is 1 that can get the unique tag, there are 2 left. So you can remove Kowalski if you're focusing for another character, and if you want you can also remove Repose, but it's such a good card that very often I keep it until the end of a run. And the save file that I use all the time for her is this one. It could have been a little bit better, just a little bit, but this is so good that, triple repose that generates an action point is phenomenal. Kowalski draws 2, phenomenal. The Pendant of Resolution costs 0, so although it's not an amazing card, it's still useful, and it costs 0, so once you throw it away, it's gone, and essentially your deck becomes triple Repose and 1 Sir Kowalski that draws 2 after you play your upgrades for basically no cost. Her damage cannot be understated. She deals exceptional damage. The beginning of a run in the Laboratory 0, Veronica playing 1 firing preparation and go AFK deals way more damage than Kizuru. Like, the beginning of a run with Kizuru is a pain in the ass, and Veronica carries one-shotting everything. Memory Fragments, the set that I'm using for her, is the one about upgrade cards. There are other sets that I would prefer to use for her, but I have some spares for this set. It's fine. She doesn't need anything else. I do not have many pieces of a set that gives 25% crit damage. It would probably be a little bit better, but it's not a big deal. So if you do have Veronica and you have not built her yet, do so. She's amazing. If you're undecided about who to get from the beginner banner, I always say pick with your heart, but Veronica should be very high on your priority list. Renoa, I was quickly showcasing earlier that the game decided to give me an extra Manifestigo. She's a character that I enjoy a lot playing. She's fun to play, she has interesting turns, but I had the 3 weeks during which I played basically on Yuki, and then Kizuru was released, same element as Renoa, so she's a little bit, again, on the backlog of characters that I wanted to build. And the fact that Tressa power creeps every other void damage dealer in the game doesn't help. I want to eventually build Renoa because as a character, the characterization and everything, she's one of my favorites, but the game just dropped, so we have a lot of characters to work on, but eventually she's 100% going to be a character that I want to put online. Hugo already mentioned it a little bit earlier. There was a period during which I was using Mika, Hugo, Tressa as my team for clearing pretty much everything in the game until I built Cassius. But in some situations, Hugo is still better. Even at Manifest Ego Zero, he's a very strong character. You just need to work a little bit on the save file because you absolutely want a couple of Hunger Instincts. The rest of the deck, not particularly relevant. If instead of the Portrait of Fury, I got a, the Eternal Hunger, I would be much happier. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, the important part is get a couple of Hunger Instincts and you're good to go in most teams. He's a very strong character. Again, on the backlog of characters to build. Then we finally go to two characters that I enjoy and that I have built pretty well from almost every point of view. Now, Kizuru, I like her a lot. I have a couple of save files, although I'm still working on them. One save file is this one, which is the Moon/Spam. This is pretty much exactly what I want from the Moon/Spam deck. Unfortunately, I didn't get a Divine Epiphany on Honey Hunt, and it would have been much better if I could have gotten multiple Honey Hunts. This is a deck that is fairly easy to build in terms of the save file because you don't need to remove Moonslashes, and the only card that you need to remove is the upgrade that prevents you from generating action points. Because when you combine a Kizuru with a proper save file, with a Mia with a proper save file, and a Rei with a proper save file, you can greatly benefit from generating action points during the turn. And drawing cards for the Ecstasy of Violence is great. And I also got some decent gear, at least in the weapon and accessory slot. It still bumps you a bit that I do not have any Divine Epiphany on Honey Hunt, but it is what it is. It's a good save file and I use it pretty often. The other one that I use often is this one, which ironically was the one that I got on day one. Because Humanoid Beast is amazing for her, absolutely phenomenal. And this is a deck that can very quickly generate stacks for Shadow of the Moon. And you get it at 5 in no time, and you use it, and you keep going and going like that. This is a very solid save file. Here I have one with a triple Honey Hunt, and two got the Divine Epiphany, what didn't. Here, quadruple Honey Hunt. But it's a little bit of a cope save file compared to everyone because I didn't get a weapon the whole run. So I will actually need to reset this one to get some cash. What I find fun about Kizuru is, well, let's start by saying what I don't find fun, which is at the beginning of any run, she's trash. Because she deals very little damage and she does nothing. There are no synergies, no cool things to do. Eventually, especially after you get Honey Hunt, you start to have more damage in line, more cards doing things, and it gets much better, and by the end of the run, she's phenomenal. But beginning of a run with Kizuru, fairly questionable. And something that I mentioned earlier, she can get quite a few cards with Unique. She can get Tsukuyomi with Unique, Bound at Dusk is Unique by default, Honey Hunt as an Epiphany with Unique. So just like Veronica, she's a character who can have 3 unique cards among her pool of cards, making it easier to build other characters. So the moment we will get a support, wink wink, like a controller of Vanguard, wink wink Sereniel, if you have both Veronica and Kizuru, then it's going to be much easier compared to other team combination to build a save file that you want. I also like a lot the fact that she can be built in a multitude of ways. It can be normal attack spam, it can be Tsukuyomi getting the epiphany that adds hits to Shadow of the Moon and building stacks for multiple turns and throwing a Shadow of the Moon that hits a million times on turn 52, just to make a 1 minute clip and farm karma on Reddit. She has a few things going for her. I like Izuru quite a lot. I have her signature partner, the save that I showed it. She's Giga Max build. What I'm using are the new set. I didn't have anything good from the older set for her, so I farmed the new one, and I gave her the 2 pieces of a 12% attack set. Something worth mentioning, I didn't say it earlier, but it will probably be lost in transition, since this is roughly the end of the video. Currently, the 4 per sets that we have are extremely underwhelming in terms of what they do, and many, if not most characters can usually benefit from 2 of like attack percentage, crit damage, and something else, depending on what the character is. At least it's a character that can benefit from the Justice set, the one that increases crit damage of cards costing 2 or more. So which fragments you pick at the moment is not particularly important. And I got her first Manifestigo, yeah. Her Manifestigo 2 is very good, very, very good. But eventually I'm either going to get it by losing a 50-50 or I'm going to be purchasing it from the shop, so I didn't want to spend more resources, more pools on Kizuru, especially since there's a good chance that Sereniel will be the Astra of Chaos Zero Nightmare. In Zenless on Zero, Astra was the first limited support character. Up until that moment, we all thought the support characters were great. Like, yeah, we like our support characters. Yeah, Nicole. Yeah, Caesar is released. She's amazing. It's a must pull. You didn't pull for Riza. For Caesar, you barely classify as a human being. And then Astra was released, and she power crept everything in every team for every damage dealer. Until later on, we got more specialized supports, but it took a very, very long time. And so I hope that when we get the new supports in Chaos Zero Nightmare, they will not be power crept by a Manifestigo Zero Mika. It would make me question the direction of the character development of the game. And then we go to my favorite character in the game, Yuki. I really like Yuki's gameplay. And she's extremely fun to play. She has a few ways in which you can build her decks. You can focus mostly on getting multiple copies of Iceberg Cleave. You can do a mix of getting extra prepared to subdue and getting extra Iceberg Cleaves. You can get epiphanies that completely change the way some cards work. You can keep the rapids. Well, you definitely want to remove flowing parry, but the basic cards, there is something to be said about keeping them, because in many teams Yuki can draw the whole deck every single turn, and she can generate an insane amount of action points, meaning that you get to the point where you have 8, 9, 10 action points, and why do you remove Rapid Slash? It's a card that deals a ton of damage. Just keep it in the deck. And I find it fun. Very, very interesting character to play. And West Makot has an amazing animation in the rest areas. I absolutely love her. And the moment I saw that animation, I was like, yeah, I'm getting West Makot. I don't know if there is any spreadsheet out there saying, oh, actually, there is a 4-star. I don't care. I love West Makot. And she's one of my most beloved partners, just because that animation gives me joy on a daily basis. And the 2 save files that I have for Yuki, I will question... wait, is that English? I have a question for you. Did you ever try to farm anything in the game on autoplay? Yes or no? If yes, then... did you find the autoplay good, or one of the worst autoplay features ever implemented in a game? If the answer is the latter, you are correct. And if you get a save file where Yuki has 3 or 4 Iceberg Cleaves, farming is going to be much easier. I can guarantee you that. I cannot tell you how much time I'm saving on a daily basis after I got this save file for Yuki. Because pretty much everything that you farm, apart from the weekly bosses, we have a bunch of nonsense on screen. Multiple waves of nonsense. If you farm with Kizuru one by one, it takes 5 hours. If you farm with the Yuki on autoplay and you have only one iceberg cleave, you never play it. And that's if Ray does not decide to exhaust it on turn 1 with the snack time, because it's something that can happen. So if you get a save file like this one, you're good to go. For most of the stuff in the game, you're absolutely set. Although the one that I play more often is this one. This one is a fantastic save file. I kinda wish I had an extra copy of Iceberg Cleave or Flash Slash, because the only negative aspect of this save file is that she draws all her attacks every turn, and the turn ends with multiple action points left and the ability to draw more cards. This means that if I had more of, any of her good damage dealing abilities, she would be performing even better, because she could be significantly increase the damage the cap of the damage that she can deal every turn. Because here we are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 action points each turn needed to play her cards. This one is often free, so we're at 7. We start at 3, she can generate 3 by herself, so she's at 6. And with Nia in Forbidden and Eternal Hunger, easily 10 action points a turn that are not being used to their fullest. But I'm absolutely happy about the save files that she has, so I will not be farming more this cycle. I will be waiting for a refresh. Potential, I maxed everything of her that I use, apart from this one. I don't care about this one. Memory fragments, I actually have 2 builds for her, and they don't make much difference. She has this build with the set that gives 35% critical damage to cards that cost 1. Or, in alternative, I will give her this, which gives her 20% damage on the order cards that she plays. I did a little bit of back and forth testing. The difference between the two is extremely limited, so I usually don't bother switching one for the other. Unless I really want to do something like, oh, my other character really wants this set, so I will give this to the other character and give the order set back to Yuki. But it's not something that I do very often, and more often than not, this is what I'm using where. And since she is my favorite character in the game, I went a bit deep into her Manifestigos. And of course she performs much better than at Manifestigo 0, but it's not like any of these is a game changer. It's like you remove a nerf that you have on your character by default. You get some extra inspiration, a little bit of damage here and there. None of these are a big deal, including the last one. Really not a big deal at all. The last one I will either wait until I get her, while pulling from other characters or from the standard banner, or the day that I want to get it, I will just purchase it from the shop and be done with it. It has to be said that at the moment the characters that were released, the 5-star, none of them need Manifestigos, which is a good thing, but for the wrong reason. It's a good thing because it means that the game doesn't want to really push you into pulling for extra Manifestigos. It's just a luxury that you do for your favorite combatant. I say that it's the wrong reason, and the wrong reason is because Tressa power creeps everyone. So the game should not be like this. Eventually we're going to get a limited 5-star that is going to power creep everything at Manifestigo 0. There are going to be people with 52 IQ on Reddit complaining about power creep. And then we're with content creators with an IQ of 57 making clickbait videos complaining about power creep. And then there will be the hit point inflation. Boss, I'm tired. But that's the life of gacha games, unfortunately. It's the life of gacha games. That was all for my account overview. I also share with you my kinda plans for Sereniel, hoping that they will work out. Bye guys, take care.